The envelope sat on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb, its crisp white edges mocking me. My name, Jacob Ellis, was scrawled in my sister Emily's loopy handwriting, a reminder of childhood notes we'd pass under the dinner table in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania. I hadn't spoken to her, or anyone in my family, since last Thanksgiving, when Uncle Ray's voice cut through the chatter, branding me a washed-up dreamer. I'd left that night, my plate of turkey untouched, the sting of his words burning deeper than I'd admit. I swore I was done with them. I tore open the envelope, half expecting an apology, maybe a plea to come home. Instead, it was an invitation to the Ellis family reunion, set for next month at the Willow Creek Community Center. Pinned to the card was a handwritten note from Emily, her words sharp as a blade. Jacob, we've decided it's best if you don't attend this year. Your ventures have caused enough embarrassment. Please respect our decision. Embarrassment. The word hit like a punch to the gut. My ventures. That's what they called StockSavvy, the startup I'd poured my life into. They didn't see the late nights coding in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, the rejections from smug investors, or the credit cards I'd maxed out to keep the dream alive. To them, I was the family failure, the idiot who traded a stable accounting job for a pipe dream that hadn't panned out, or so they thought. I crumpled the note and tossed it into the trash, my hands shaking. Fine. If they didn't want me, I wouldn't beg. But as I poured my morning coffee, the bitterness gave way to a spark of defiance. I wasn't done. Not with my dreams, and not with my family. They thought I'd failed? I'd show them just how wrong they were. 10 years ago, I was Willow Creek's golden boy. Straight-A student, captain of the debate team, the first Ellis to go to college. My parents, Tom and Linda, bragged about me at every church potluck, their voices swelling with pride. Emily, 2 years older, and Nate, my younger brother, looked up to me like I could do no wrong. I was the kid with a plan, the one destined for greatness. College was a breeze. Penn State, full scholarship, degree in computer science. Everyone assumed I'd join Dad's accounting firm, settle down in Willow Creek, marry a nice girl, and live the life they'd mapped out for me. But I had other plans. After graduation, I packed a duffel bag and moved to New York City with a laptop, a half-baked idea, and a stubborn streak. I wanted to build something real, something that could change lives. StockSavvy was my vision, an app to help small businesses manage inventory with the ease of a Fortune 500 company. It sounded simple, but it was a beast to execute. The first version crashed harder than a drunk driver. Investors laughed me out of boardrooms, calling it unscalable or cute but impractical. My girlfriend at the time, Sarah, stuck around for a year before she bailed, tired of ramen dinners and my obsession with code. You're throwing your life away, Jacob, she said, slamming the door on her way out. My family wasn't much kinder. Mom's phone calls were laced with worry, her voice trembling as she asked why I couldn't just come home and get a real job. Dad was blunter, his accountant's pragmatism leaving no room for dreams. You're not cut out for this, son. Stop chasing fantasies. Emily, once my biggest cheerleader, started dodging my calls. Nate, still in high school then, sent me a text once. Why's everyone so mad at you? I didn't know how to answer. The early years were a grind. I lived in a shoebox apartment in Bushwick, surviving on instant coffee and free Wi-Fi from the cafe downstairs. I taught myself to code better, rebuilt StockSavvy from scratch, and begged friends to test it. By year 3, I had a prototype that didn't crash. By year 5, I had a small team, 3 coders and a marketing guy, all as broke as me but just as stubborn. We worked out of a co-working space that smelled like burnt popcorn, pooling our savings to keep the lights on. Small businesses, mom-and-pop shops, local cafes, started signing up. A bakery in Queens raved about how StockSavvy saved them from overstocking flour. A hardware store in the Bronx said it cut their losses by 20%. We were onto something. By panel. By year 7, we had 10,000 users. By year 9, we caught the eye of a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. 6 months ago, we closed a $50 million Series B funding round. StockSavvy was now valued at $200 million, and I was the CEO of a company with 150 employees, a sleek new headquarters in Pittsburgh, just an hour from Willow Creek. The building was a glass and steel marvel, with my name on it, the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center. My family didn't know any of this. They'd stopped asking years ago, assuming I was still floundering. The reunion was on a Saturday, the same day as the Innovation Center's grand opening. The community center was a mile away. I could crash their party, not as the failure they thought I was, but as the man I'd become. I called my assistant, Priya, a whip-smart Wharton grad who'd stuck with me since the popcorn-scented days. Clear my schedule for next month, I told her. I'm going to Willow Creek. Priya laughed, her voice crackling through the phone. Family drama or victory lap? Both, I said, grinning. I had a plan. The grand opening would be big. Local press, city officials, investors, the works. My family had banned me for failing. I'd make sure they saw my name on that building, shining like a middle finger to their doubts. The weeks after receiving Emily's note were a blur of preparation. The grand opening of the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center wasn't just a ribbon cutting, it was my chance to rewrite the narrative my family had pinned on me. I'd spent a decade grinding, and now StockSavvy was a success story, but the sting of being called an embarrassment fueled me more than I cared to admit. I wanted them to see what I'd built, not out of spite, but to reclaim the respect I'd lost. My Brooklyn apartment, once a symbol of my struggle, was now a minimalist haven with a view of the Manhattan skyline. I sat at my desk, surrounded by monitors and post-it notes, planning the event with military precision. Priya, my assistant, was my right hand, juggling logistics like a pro. She'd been with StockSavvy since year 4, back when we shared a folding table in that co-working space. Her dark hair was perpetually pulled into a messy bun, and she had a knack for cutting through my overthinking with a single raised eyebrow. Invitations sent to the mayor, the Post-Gazette, and 3 VC firms, she reported, tapping her tablet. Food trucks booked, tacos, barbecue, and that vegan place you hate. Oh, and the bands confirmed. They're local, so they're cheap but decent. Good, I said, reviewing the guest list. Make sure the demo stations are idiot-proof. I want every visitor to see how easy StockSavvy is. Priya smirked. You mean you want your family to see you're not a screw-up? I snorted. Am I that obvious? Like a neon sign, she said, but her tone was warm. Priya knew the stakes. She'd heard my rants about Uncle Ray's insults, Mom's worried voicemails, Dad's lectures about real jobs. She'd also seen me pull all-nighters, rewriting code until my eyes burned, turning StockSavvy from a pipe dream into a $200 million company. The early days of StockSavvy were a masterclass in survival. Year 1, I coded in a coffee shop, nursing a single latte to justify the Wi-Fi. I'd pitch to anyone who'd listen, angel investors, tech bros, even a shady guy in a tracksuit who claimed he knew people. Most said no. One called my app a solution looking for a problem. Sarah, my girlfriend then, was my cheerleader until the money ran dry. I can't keep waiting for your big break, she said, packing her bags. I didn't blame her. I was a mess, unshaven, living on instant noodles, my bank account a revolving door of overdraft fees. Year 2, I rebuilt the app. The beta was buggy, but I learned fast. I read every coding book I could afford, watched YouTube tutorials, and begged a friend from Penn State, Mike, to join me. Mike was a coding genius with a beard that screamed hipster, but he believed in the vision. We'd work until 3 a.m., fueled by Red Bull and desperation, tweaking algorithms to make inventory tracking seamless. By year 3, we had a prototype that worked. A diner in Brooklyn signed up first, then a bookstore in Harlem. Word spread. Small businesses loved us because StockSavvy saved them time and money, something big-box retailers couldn't match. Year 5. Priya joined. She was fresh out of business school, all ambition and spreadsheets. She streamlined our pitch, got us into a startup accelerator, and helped secure our first $1 million seed round. You're not selling an app, she'd say. You're selling freedom for small businesses. Her mantra stuck. We hired 2 more coders, Lisa and Raj, and a marketing guy, Ethan, who could sell ice to penguins. Our user base grew, 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000. Every milestone felt like a middle finger to the doubters. The Series B funding last year was the game changer. A Silicon Valley VC, led by a guy named Greg who wore sneakers with suits, saw our numbers and said, "You're disrupting the market." The $50 million let us scale up. New servers, more hires, and the Pittsburgh headquarters. The Jacob Ellis Innovation Center wasn't just a building, it was my legacy, etched in glass and steel. I chose Pittsburgh to be close to Willow Creek, maybe out of stubborn pride, maybe hoping one day my family would see it. Planning the grand opening kept me up nights. I wanted it perfect, big enough to draw attention, accessible enough for the town to feel included. Priya booked a local news crew, a photographer, and a caterer who promised Pittsburgh's best pierogies. We'd have demo stations where visitors could try StockSavvy, see how it tracked inventory in real time. I imagined Emily's face when she saw the sign with my name. Would she be proud? Ashamed? Would Dad finally shut up about accounting? I called Mike to check on the demo software. It's bulletproof, he said. Even your uncle couldn't break it. I laughed, but my stomach churned. This wasn't just about showing off. It was about proving I hadn't wasted a decade, that I wasn't the failure they thought. The reunion was a mile away, same day, same time. I'd make sure they couldn't ignore me. Back in Willow Creek, I'd been the kid with potential. Now I was the outcast. Mom used to slip me $20 bills at family dinners, whispering, just in case. Dad would lecture me about 401(k)s. Emily, who once braided my hair for laughs, now wrote notes banning me from reunions. Nate was the only one who still texted, but even he was distant, busy with college. I didn't tell them about the funding, the valuation, the building. They'd stopped asking, assuming I was still scraping by. They were wrong. The night before I left for Willow Creek, I stood on my balcony, the city lights sprawling below. I'd come a long way from that coffee shop. StockSavvy wasn't just an app, it was proof I could build something from nothing. I packed my suit, a tailored Navy number that screamed, I made it, and booked a rental car. Willow Creek was waiting, and so was my family. They'd see my name on that building, whether they liked it or not. Driving into Willow Creek felt like stepping into a memory. Main Street hadn't changed in a decade. The same diner with its flickering neon sign, the same hardware store with a faded awning, the same sleepy charm that made my childhood feel like a Norman Rockwell painting. I passed the park where Nate and I used to play catch, the church where Mom dragged us every Sunday, the ice cream shop where Emily once spilled her cone and cried until I gave her mine. The nostalgia hit hard, a mix of warmth and ache. I'd left this place to chase a dream, but it had cost me my family. I checked into the Willow Creek Inn, a bed and breakfast run by Mrs. Callahan, my high school English teacher. Her gray hair was shorter now, but her eyes still sparkled with that, I knew you'd make it look. Jacob Ellis. I read about your company in the paper, she said, pouring me coffee. Some big shot now, huh? Not quite, I said, smiling. Just trying to do right by the town. She patted my arm. You always were a good kid. Your parents must be proud. I sipped the coffee, dodging the comment. Proud. They thought I was an embarrassment. But tomorrow, they'd see the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center, a mile from their precious reunion. The thought made my pulse quicken. That afternoon, I drove to the Innovation Center. The building was a stunner. Glass walls gleaming in the Pennsylvania sun, clean lines, and a sign out front that hit me every time. The Jacob Ellis Innovation Center. It wasn't just a name. It was a statement. I'd built this, me, the kid they wrote off. Inside, my team was setting up for the grand opening. Priya was barking orders, her tablet glowing as she checked off tasks. Mike was tweaking the demo stations, ensuring the app ran smoothly. Lisa and Raj were testing the Wi-Fi, while Ethan hung banners welcoming the community. The interior was open and airy, with white oak floors and floor-to-ceiling windows. The lobby had a mural of Willow Creek's rolling hills, a nod to the town that shaped me. Conference rooms were named after local landmarks: Main Street, Willow Bridge, Creek Bend. The break area had ping-pong tables, a coffee bar, and a fridge stocked with local brews. Framed articles lined the walls. TechCrunch calling StockSavvy a game-changer, Forbes naming me a 30 under 30 alum. I wondered if Dad would read them or just grunt and change the subject. Priya caught me staring at the sign. Feels real now, doesn't it? She said. Too real, I admitted. What if they don't show? Then they're idiots, she said, blunt as ever. But they'll come. The whole town's buzzing about this place. I hoped she was right. The grand opening was tomorrow, deliberately timed to overlap with the reunion. I wanted my family to walk in, see my name, and choke on their assumptions. But doubt gnawed at me. What if they didn't care? What if they saw the building and still saw a failure? That night, I walked through Willow Creek, passing the community center where the reunion would be. Its brick facade and sagging roof looked tired next to my headquarters. I remembered family picnics there, Aunt Sue's potato salad, Uncle Ray's bad jokes. I was the kid who'd recite poetry for Grandma, the one they all bet on. Now, I was the outcast, banned for embarrassing them. The rejection stung, but it also lit a fire. I'd make them see me. Back at the inn, I couldn't sleep. I pulled up old photos on my phone, me and Emily at prom, Nate riding my shoulders, Mom and Dad at my college graduation, beaming. Where did it go wrong? Maybe when I skipped Dad's firm for New York. Maybe when I stopped calling, tired of their lectures. Or maybe when they decided my dream wasn't worth their faith. The next morning, I woke early, nerves jangling. I put on my navy suit, the one Priya picked because it screamed CEO, and checked my reflection. I didn't look like the kid who left Willow Creek. I looked like a man who'd built something. I drove to the Innovation Center, the sun glinting off the glass. The parking lot was already filling. Reporters, local business owners, the mayor in a too-tight suit. A banner read, Grand Opening, free tours and refreshments. Food trucks lined up, their smells of tacos and pierogies wafting through the air. The band was tuning up, a local group playing Springsteen covers. I greeted guests, shaking hands, smiling for photos. The Post-Gazette reporter asked about StockSavvy's impact. Small businesses are the heart of America, I said. We're giving them tools to thrive. He nodded, scribbling notes. The mayor clapped my shoulder, calling the center Willow Creek's future. I scanned the crowd, looking for Mom's Sunday dress, Dad's flannel, Emily's blonde braid. Nothing yet. Inside, the demo stations were a hit. A local florist gasped as StockSavvy tracked her inventory in seconds. A hardware store owner said it saved him thousands. I felt a surge of pride, but my eyes kept darting to the entrance. Would they come? Priya caught my glance and mouthed, "Relax." Easy for her to say. I thought back to the early days, the coffee shop marathons, the rejections. Every no had pushed me harder. StockSavvy wasn't just an app, it was my fight, my proof. I'd poured everything into it. My savings, my sanity, my relationships. Sarah left because I chose the dream over her. My family pulled away because they didn't understand. But tomorrow, they'd see the building, the sign, the truth. I wasn't the kid they pitied anymore. By noon, the lot was packed. Kids ran around with balloons, locals snapped selfies with the sign. I gave a short speech, thanking the town for shaping me. This center is for Willow Creek, I said, voice steady. For every dreamer who's told they can't. The crowd clapped, but my heart was elsewhere, waiting for the family I'd lost, hoping they'd walk through that door. The grand opening was in full swing by 2 p.m., the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center buzzing with energy. The parking lot overflowed with cars, locals spilling out to gawk at the glass building that seemed to sprout overnight in sleepy Willow Creek. Food trucks dished out pierogies and tacos, their savory smells mixing with the twang of the local band's Springsteen covers. Reporters from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette scribbled notes, snapping photos of the sign bearing my name. The mayor, sweating in his suit, posed for selfies with business owners. My team, Priya, Mike, Lisa, Raj, and Ethan, moved like a well-oiled machine, guiding guests to demo stations where StockSavvy shone. I stood near the entrance, shaking hands, smiling for cameras, but my eyes kept darting to the lot. Every blonde head made me think of Emily, every flannel shirt conjured Dad. Mom's Sunday dress was nowhere in sight. I'd timed this event to clash with the reunion, a mile away at the community center, hoping my family would hear about it and show up. The thought of them seeing the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center sent a jolt through me, part pride, part dread. What if they came and still didn't care? Priya sidled up, her tablet glowing. "You look like you're waiting for the guillotine," she said, smirking. "Just my family," I muttered. "Any sign of them?" "Not yet. But the Post-Gazette wants an interview, and the mayor's asking for a private tour." "You good?" I nodded, forcing a smile. "Let's keep it rolling." The demo stations were a hit. A local bakery owner, Mrs. Russo, beamed as StockSavvy tracked her flour inventory in real time. "This would have saved me last Christmas," she said, her accent thick with Pittsburgh pride. A hardware store manager, Mr. Klein, said the app cut his overstock by 15%. Guests crowded around, trying it themselves, their gasps and murmurs fueling my confidence. This was why I'd fought for a decade, because small businesses, the backbone of towns like Willow Creek, deserved better. Outside, kids clutched balloons, darting between food trucks. The band launched into Born to Run, and locals swayed, beers in hand. Ethan had outdone himself with the PR, flyers around town, social media blasts, even a radio ad. The community felt like part of this, not just spectators. I wanted Willow Creek to own this moment as much as I did. I thought back to the early days, the grind that got me here. Year 1, I'd pitch StockSavvy to anyone with a wallet, my voice hoarse from rejection. Year 2, I rebuilt the app alone, hunched over a laptop in a coffee shop, ignoring the get a real job echoes from Dad. Sarah's departure in Year 3 gutted me, but I kept coding. By Year 5, Mike and Priya joined, turning my solo fight into a team effort. We'd sleep on office couches, debug code at dawn, celebrate every new user like it was a Super Bowl win. The $50 million Series B last year was our touchdown, proof we'd made it. The Innovation Center was the crown jewel. Its glass walls and open-plan office screamed ambition, a far cry from Willow Creek's tired community center. The lobby's mural of local hills tied it to the town, but the sign, the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center, was mine. I'd named it that partly out of pride, partly to stick it to the family who'd banned me. They thought I'd failed. Today, they'd see the truth. At 3 p.m., Priya's text lit up my phone. "Your sister and parents just pulled in." My heart lurched. I spotted them near the entrance. Mom in her floral dress, Dad in his usual flannel, Emily with her husband, Mark, and their kids, Lily and Ben. They looked out of place, like tourists lost in a city they didn't understand. Emily's eyes locked on the sign, her mouth parting slightly. Mom clutched Dad's arm, her face unreadable. Dad just stared, his jaw tight. I walked over, my suit feeling like armor. "Welcome," I said, voice steady. "Care for a tour?" Mom's eyes widened. "Jacob, what is this?" "The Jacob Ellis Innovation Center," I said, gesturing to the sign. "My company's new headquarters. StockSavvy. You might have heard of it." Dad's face reddened. "You didn't tell us." "You didn't ask," I shot back, sharper than I meant. "You also banned me from the reunion, so I figured I'd throw my own party." Emily flushed, her voice soft. "We thought it was better if you didn't come. After everything, I said, stepping closer. "You mean my embarrassing ventures? The ones that built this?" Mom's hand touched my arm, her eyes misty. "We were worried, Jacob. No steady job, no family." "I was building something," I said, cutting her off. "And I did it. This company helps thousands of businesses. It's worth $200 million. Emily gasped. $200 million? I nodded. "And growing. Europe's next." The silence was thick, the crowd's chatter fading into the background. Lily, Emily's 6-year-old, tugged my sleeve. "Uncle Jacob, is this your building?" I knelt, grinning. "Yeah, kiddo. Wanna see inside?" She nodded eagerly, and I stood, leading them in. The moment felt surreal, like I was meeting my family for the first time. I'd spent years imagining this, proving them wrong, making them see. But now, with them here, my anger mixed with something softer. I wanted their pride, not their guilt. The tour started in the lobby, the mural glowing under soft lights. I showed them the demo stations, where locals tested StockSavvy. Mrs. Russo waved, praising the app. I glanced at Dad, hoping for a reaction, but he just nodded, eyes on the floor. Mom smiled faintly, Emily whispered to Mark, and the kids ran ahead, awestruck. I'd built this for me, for the town, but part of me, maybe too much, wanted them to care. Leading my family through the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center felt like walking a tightrope. The grand opening hummed around us, locals testing StockSavvy at demo stations, the band's music drifting in, the smell of barbecue from food trucks lingering. Mom, Dad, Emily, her husband Mark, and their kids, Lily and Ben, followed me through the lobby, their eyes wide but guarded. The sign outside, my name in bold letters, had hit them like a slap, and now I was showing them the empire I'd built, the one they dismissed as a failure. I started the tour in the lobby, where the mural of Willow Creek's hills glowed under recessed lights. "This is home," I said, gesturing to the artwork. I wanted the building to reflect where I came from. Mom nodded, her floral dress catching the light, but Dad's flannel-clad shoulders stayed stiff. Emily held Lily's hand, her face a mix of awe and unease. Mark, ever the quiet one, trailed behind with Ben. We moved to the demo area, where Mrs. Russo, the bakery owner, was showing a reporter how StockSavvy tracked her inventory. "This app saved my holiday rush," she said, her Pittsburgh accent thick. "No more guessing how much flour I need." I caught Emily's eye, hoping she'd get it. This wasn't just code, it was real impact. She gave a small nod, but Dad's gaze stayed on the floor, like he was studying the oak planks. The open plan office came next, all glass partitions and ergonomic chairs. "We've got 150 employees here," I said. "Most are local hires." I pointed out the conference rooms, Main Street, Willow Bridge, Creek Bend, each named to tie this place to Willow Creek. The kids ran ahead, Lily giggling at the ping-pong table in the break room. "Can we play Uncle Jacob?" she asked. "After the tour, kiddo," I said, ruffling her hair. For a moment, I was the big brother again, not the outcast. Flashbacks hit as we walked. I remembered Emily teaching me to braid her hair when we were kids, her laughter filling our old house. Dad tossing me a baseball in the backyard, his gruff, "Good catch, son." Mom slipping me cookies before dinner, whispering, "Don't tell your sister." Those memories clashed with the later ones, Dad's lectures about real jobs, Mom's worried voicemails, Emily's cold note banning me from the reunion. I'd stopped calling because their doubt hurt more than investor rejections. We reached my office, a corner suite with a view of the hills. Framed articles lined the walls, TechCrunch, Forbes Incorporated, proof of StockSavvy's rise. I saw Dad glance at them, his jaw tight. "This is where I work," I said, keeping my voice even. We're expanding to Europe next year. Mom's eyes misted. It's incredible, Jacob. Then why didn't you believe in me? The words slipped out, sharper than I meant. Silence fell, heavy as the glass around us. Emily shifted, her voice soft. We didn't know it would turn out like this. You didn't ask, I said, leaning against my desk. You called my work an embarrassment. Dad finally spoke, his voice low. We thought you were throwing your life away. No job, no stability. I was building this, I cut in, gesturing to the room. StockSavvy's worth $200 million. I'm not exactly unstable. Emily's mouth dropped. $200 million? I nodded. And it's helping businesses like Mrs. Russo's. Real people, real impact. Mom reached for my hand, her touch warm but tentative. We were scared for you, Jacob. No wife, no kids. I didn't need a wife to do this, I said, pulling back. I needed you to trust me. Dad looked away, his hands shoved in his pockets. Emily's eyes glistened, and Mark put an arm around her. Lily and Ben, oblivious, played with a stress ball from my desk. The tension was suffocating, but I kept going, showing them the break room, the coffee bar, the rooftop terrace with its view of Willow Creek. Every step was a reminder of what I'd lost, and what I'd gained. I thought back to the grind. Year 1, coding in a coffee shop, my laptop overheating. Year 3, Sarah walking out, saying I'd never make it. Year 5, Priya's spreadsheets turning chaos into strategy. The $50 million Series B last year was the payoff, letting me build this headquarters. I'd chosen Pittsburgh to be near Willow Creek, maybe to prove a point, maybe to stay connected. But they'd shut me out, and that hurt more than any investors know. Back in the lobby, locals swarmed the demo stations. A florist said StockSavvy saved her from overstocking roses. A diner owner called it a lifeline. I wanted my family to see this wasn't just my win, it was for towns like ours. Mom smiled faintly, but Dad's silence felt like a wall. Emily whispered to Mark, her kids tugging at her hands. As the tour ended, I led them to a quiet corner. Why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, her voice breaking. I tried, I said. Early on, I told you about StockSavvy. You called it a fantasy. I stopped trying because you stopped listening. Dad shifted, his boots scuffing the floor. We wanted you secure, like Emily. Like Nate. Secure. I laughed, bitter. I'm running a company valued at $200 million. I think I'm good. Emily wiped her eyes. We didn't know, Jacob. We thought you were struggling. I was, I said. 4 years. But I didn't quit. I built this because I believed in it, not to prove you wrong. The words hung there, raw and heavy. Lily tugged my sleeve again. Uncle Jacob, can we see the roof again? Her innocence broke the tension, and I smiled. Sure, kiddo, I said, leading them back. The tour was over, but the real conversation was just starting. I'd shown them my world. Now, I needed to know if they could be part of it again. The tour of the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center ended in my office, a sleek corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Willow Creek's rolling hills. The grand opening buzzed outside, locals laughing, the band playing a cover of Sweet Caroline, food trucks serving up pierogies and tacos. Inside, it was just me, Mom, Dad, Emily, Mark, and their kids, Lily and Ben. The air was thick with unspoken words, the weight of a decade's worth of distance pressing down. I'd shown them StockSavvy's success, the $200 million valuation, the building with my name on it. Now, we sat in silence, coffee mugs steaming on my desk. Mom broke first, her voice soft in her floral dress. Jacob, this place, it's more than we ever imagined. Her eyes, the same hazel as mine, glistened with tears. We didn't know. You didn't ask, I said, quieter this time. The anger I'd carried since Emily's note, your ventures have caused enough embarrassment, still simmered, but seeing Mom's face softened it. Dad sat stiff in his flannel, hands clasped, staring at the Forbes article on the wall. Emily, her blonde braids swinging, looked like she wanted to speak but didn't. Mark kept a hand on her shoulder, while Lily and Ben played with a model of the Innovation Center on my shelf. I leaned back in my chair, the leather creaking. I tried telling you early on. Year 1, I called about StockSavvy, said it could change things for small businesses. You thought it was a phase. Dad shifted, his voice gruff. You were living in a rat hole, Jacob. No job, no money. We thought you'd crash and burn. You weren't wrong then, I admitted. It was rough. I coded in a coffee shop, maxed out credit cards, lost Sarah because I couldn't afford dinner out. But I kept going. Emily's voice cracked. We were scared for you. Mom cried after every call, thinking you were starving. Dad kept saying you'd come home when it failed. I glanced at Dad. His jaw was tight, like he was chewing on his own words. I didn't come home because I believed in this, I said, gesturing to the office. StockSavvy's helping thousands of businesses now. That bakery owner out there? She's not losing sleep over inventory anymore. Mom reached for my hand, her touch warm. We should have listened, Jacob. We didn't understand. You called it an embarrassment, I said, the note's words still raw. Banned me from the reunion because I was a failure. Emily flinched. I wrote that note because we thought it'd protect the family. Everyone talking about you, pitying us. I was wrong. The admission hit hard. I'd spent years picturing this moment, wanting them to eat their words. But now, with Lily giggling over the model and Mom's eyes pleading, I felt less like a victor and more like a son who'd lost too much time. Flashbacks crept in. Emily and I sneaking fireflies into jars as kids, Dad teaching me to balance a checkbook, Mom's Sunday dinners with her famous meatloaf. Then the later years, Dad's get a real job rants, Mom's voicemails begging me to move back, Emily's silence after I stopped explaining StockSavvy. I'd shut them out, too, tired of their doubt. It wasn't just their fault. We'd all built this wall. I stood, pacing to the window. Year 1, I nearly quit. Investors laughed me out of rooms. Year 3, Sarah left, said I'd never make it. Year 5, Priya and Mike joined, and we turned it around. Last year's $50 million funding built this. I turned to them. I didn't do it to spite you. I did it because I had to. Dad finally looked up, his eyes tired. We wanted you safe, like Emily. Married, stable, like we raised you to be. Safe doesn't change the world, I said. StockSavvy's in 10,000 businesses. We're going to Europe. I'm not just safe, I'm building something bigger. Emily wiped her eyes. We didn't see it, Jacob. I'm sorry. The words hung there, fragile. I wanted to stay angry, but Lily ran over, holding the model. Uncle Jacob, this is so cool. Can we visit again? I smiled, kneeling. Anytime, kiddo. Her joy was a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge of resentment. Mom stood, hugging me. We're proud, Jacob. We missed you. I hugged back, her familiar scent of lavender grounding me. I missed you too, I admitted, voice thick. Dad stayed seated, but his nod was enough for now. Mark squeezed Emily's hand, and Ben asked if the building had a game room. The tension eased, but it wasn't gone. I thought of the grind. Coffee shop nights, rejection emails, Sarah's suitcase by the door. Priya's spreadsheets, Mike's code, the Series B celebration when we popped cheap champagne. This building was my proof, but it was also a bridge I hadn't crossed yet. Could I let them back in? Could they accept me as I was? Let's go to the reunion, I said, surprising myself. All of us. Emily's eyes widened. You sure? After everything? Yeah, I said. It's family. We left the office, the grand opening still alive outside. Locals clapped as I passed, calling out, Nice work, Jacob. Mrs. Russo waved, her smile wide. I felt Willow Creek's pride, but my family's presence was heavier. The community center was a mile away, and I drove us there, the rental car quiet except for Lily's chatter about the building. I'd shown them my world. Now I'd step into theirs, hoping we could meet halfway. The drive to the Willow Creek Community Center was quiet, save for Lily's excited chatter about the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center's shiny windows. Mom sat beside me in her floral dress, twisting her hands. Dad, in the back seat with Emily, Mark, and Ben, stared out the window, his flannel shirt a stubborn constant. The grand opening had left them stunned. My name on a $200 million company's headquarters wasn't the failure they'd expected. I'd shown them StockSavvy's impact, the demo stations, the articles on the walls. Now, we were heading to the reunion they'd banned me from, and the air in the rental car felt like it could crack. The community center came into view, its brick facade sagging compared to my glass and steel headquarters. Cars packed the lot, and I could hear laughter and music spilling out, familiar sounds of Ellis family reunions. I parked, my navy suit feeling out of place among the jeans and t-shirts. Emily touched my arm, her braid swinging. You don't have to do this, Jacob. I want to, I said, though my gut twisted. I wasn't the kid they'd once cheered for, but I wasn't the outcast anymore either. I needed to know where we stood. Inside, the hall was a time capsule. Folding tables with checkered cloths, Aunt Sue's potato salad, kids running wild. Heads turned as we entered, Mom and Dad flanking me, Emily's family trailing. Cousins whispered, uncles raised eyebrows. Uncle Ray, predictably, swaggered over, his beer gut straining his polo shirt. "Well, look who crashed the party," he said, smirking. "Heard you got a fancy building now." "Yeah," I said, meeting his gaze. "You should swing by. I might name a janitor's closet after you." Laughter erupted, cutting the tension. Ray's smirk faltered, but he clapped my shoulder, muttering, "Not bad, kid." For once, I didn't flinch. The room felt warmer, like I was slipping back into a life I'd left behind. Cousins swarmed, asking about StockSavvy. "Saw you in Forbes," my cousin Jenna said, her eyes wide. "What's it like being a big shot?" I laughed, deflecting with stories about the early days, coding in a coffee shop, dodging eviction notices. They listened, rapt, unlike the old days when they'd changed the subject. Aunt Sue hugged me, her apron smelling of onions. "We missed you, Jacob." I wanted to believe her, but Emily's note still stung. "Your ventures have caused enough embarrassment." I'd been the family's cautionary tale, the one they pitted at these reunions. Now, they were curious, even proud. It felt good but fragile, like a truce that could break. Flashbacks hit hard. Running through this hall as a kid, stealing cookies with Nate. Dad teaching me to tie a tie before my first debate. Emily sneaking me her Walkman to drown out their arguments. Then the later years, Mom's worried calls, Dad's real job lectures, Emily's silence when I needed her most. I'd shut them out too, burying myself in code to escape their doubt. I mingled, answering questions. A high school friend, now a mechanic, asked for StockSavvy's pitch. "It's like having a personal accountant for your inventory," I said. He nodded, impressed. Another local, a diner owner, said the app saved his business. Willow Creek was starting to see me, not just the building. Emily pulled me aside, her eyes red. "I'm so sorry, Jacob," she said. "That note. I was wrong. We all were." I swallowed hard. "You thought I was a failure. I get it. I looked like one for a while." "You never were," she said, voice breaking. "I should have trusted you." Her words cracked something in me. I hugged her, the first real hug in years. "It's okay," I said. "You're here now." Dad lingered nearby, quiet. I caught his eye, hoping for something, a word, a nod. He just sipped his beer, his face unreadable. Mom joined us, her smile shaky but real. "We're so proud, Jacob. We didn't know how to reach you." "You could have tried," I said, softer than before. "I was still your son." She nodded, tears spilling. Mark stepped in, his calm voice steadying us. "Let's start over," he said. "Your family." Lily ran up, waving a balloon. "Uncle Jacob, can we visit your building tomorrow?" Ben echoed her, bouncing. I grinned, promising they could. Their excitement felt like a bridge, small but sturdy. The reunion rolled on, music, laughter, kids chasing each other. Uncle Ray tried another jab, but I deflected, joking about naming a vending machine after him. The crowd laughed again, and I felt lighter. Willow Creek was my home, these people my roots, even if they doubted me. I'd built StockSavvy for myself, for small businesses, but maybe also to prove I belonged here. I thought of the grind, coffee shop nights, Sarah's goodbye, Priya's late-night strategy sessions. The $50 million funding, the move to Pittsburgh, the sign with my name. It wasn't just about success, it was about building something that mattered. My family was starting to see it, but the real test was whether we could rebuild what we'd lost. As the night wound down, Dad finally approached. "You did good, son," he said, his voice low. I should have listened." It wasn't an apology, but it was close. I nodded, throat tight. "Thanks, Dad." We stood there, the music fading, the gap between us shrinking. The reunion wasn't what I'd expected. Not a showdown, but a step. I'd shown them my world. Now, maybe we could share it. The Willow Creek Community Center pulsed with life as the Ellis family reunion hit its peak. Laughter bounced off the brick walls, kids darted between tables laden with potato salad and lemonade, and the band played a twangy cover of Brown-Eyed Girl. I stood among my family, Mom in her floral dress, Dad in flannel, Emily with her braid, Mark steady beside her, and their kids, Lily and Ben, clutching balloons. I'd crashed the reunion they'd banned me from, fresh off showing them the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center, my $200 million company's headquarters. The air felt charged, like we were all testing this fragile new ground. Cousins and aunts swarmed me, their curiosity a stark contrast to the pity I'd gotten years ago. "Saw your name in Forbes," my cousin Jenna said, grinning. "You're a big deal now, Jacob." I shrugged, playing it cool, but their interest warmed me. Aunt Sue hugged me tight, her apron still dusted with flour. "We missed you, kid," she said. I wanted to believe her, but Emily's note, "Your ventures have caused enough embarrassment," still echoed, a reminder of why I'd stayed away. Uncle Ray, true to form, sidled up with a smirk, beer in hand. "So, Mr. Big Shot, what's next?" "Buying the whole town." His tone was half joking, half prodding, like always. "Maybe just the community center," I shot back, winking. "Gotta have somewhere to park my ego." The crowd laughed, and Ray's grin faltered. For once, I held the upper hand. I mingled, fielding questions about StockSavvy. A high school buddy, now a plumber, asked how it worked. "It's like a brain for your inventory," I said. "Tracks everything, saves you money." He nodded, impressed. A local cafe owner said the app cut her food waste by 20%. Willow Creek was seeing me, not the kid who'd thrown his life away, but the guy who'd built something real. Memories flooded back. Running through this hall as a kid, stealing brownies with Nate. Dad grilling me on math homework at these tables. Emily sneaking me gum during Aunt Sue's long stories. Then the harder years. Mom's voicemails begging me to come home, Dad's real job rants, Emily's silence when I needed her faith. I'd buried myself in StockSavvy, coding through the hurt, building a wall as much as a company. Now that wall was cracking. Emily pulled me to a corner, her eyes red. "Jacob, I messed up," she said. "That note. I thought I was protecting the family. I was so wrong." I exhaled, the sting of her words softening. "You thought I'd crash and burn. I get it. I looked like a mess for a while." "You were never a mess," she said, voice breaking. "I should have believed in you." I hugged her, her familiar scent grounding me. "We're good, Em," I said. "Let's just start over." Mom joined us, her smile shaky. "We're so proud, Jacob. We just didn't know how to reach you." "You could have tried harder," I said, but my tone was gentle. "I was still your kid." Dad lingered nearby, sipping his beer. He'd said I'd done good earlier, a grudging nod to my success. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. Mark, ever calm, said, "Family's messy, but we're here now." Lily and Ben ran up, asking if my building had a secret room. I laughed, promising to show them tomorrow. The reunion felt different from the ones I remembered. No whispers of poor Jacob this time. Cousins asked for business tips, uncles toasted my success. Even Ray backed off, his jabs replaced by awkward respect. I felt like I belonged, but the years apart left scars. I'd built StockSavvy to prove myself, to help small businesses like the ones here. But part of me had done it to show them I wasn't a failure. Now they were starting to see it. I thought back to the grind, coffee shop nights, Sarah's goodbye, Priya's late-night pep talks. The $50 million funding, the move to Pittsburgh, the sign with my name. It was more than a company, it was my fight to be seen. Tonight, Willow Creek saw me. My family was trying to. As the band played on, Dad approached again. "I was wrong," he said, voice low. "I thought you needed saving. Didn't realize you were saving yourself." I swallowed hard. Took a while, but I got there. He nodded, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "You gonna stick around this time?" "Depends," I said, half smiling. "You gonna stop telling me to get a real job?" He chuckled, a rare sound. "Deal." Mom hugged me again, her tears dampening my suit. Emily and Mark joined in, the kids giggling between us. The reunion wasn't what I'd braced for. No showdown, no gloating. It was a step toward something better. I'd shown them my world at the Innovation Center. Now, we were rebuilding ours, one awkward hug at a time. The Ellis family reunion was winding down, the Willow Creek Community Center filled with the clatter of plates and the hum of old stories. The band had switched to a slow country tune, and kids, including Emily's Lily and Ben, darted around with sticky hands from lemonade. I stood in my navy suit, a stranger in my own hometown, yet the warmth of cousins' smiles and aunts' hugs chipped away at the years of distance. I'd shown Mom, Dad, Emily, and Mark the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center earlier, my $200 million company's headquarters, and crashed the reunion they'd banned me from. Now the air felt lighter, like we were all trying to stitch a decade's rift. Mom hovered close, her floral dress a beacon of familiarity. Dad, in his flannel, seemed less rigid, his earlier "you did good" echoing in my mind. Emily's braids swung as she chased Ben, while Mark kept Lily from stealing more cookies. The room buzzed with chatter about StockSavvy, my app that was saving small businesses. A local grocer stopped me, saying it cut his overstock by 10%. "You're making Willow Creek proud," he said. I nodded, but my eyes kept finding my family, searching for signs we could rebuild. Uncle Ray tried one last jab, leaning in with his beer. "So, big shot, you gonna buy us all new cars?" His grin was less sharp than usual. "Only if you say Jacob was right first," I shot back, winking. The laughter around us felt like a release, a sign I wasn't the outcast anymore. Cousins peppered me with questions. "How'd you do it?" my cousin Matt asked, a mechanic with grease-stained hands. I told him about the early days, coding in a coffee shop, dodging investor rejections, losing Sarah when the money ran out. "Took a lot of no's to get to yes," I said. He nodded, impressed. Aunt Sue, wiping her hands on her apron, said, "We should have known you'd make it, Jacob." Her words hit hard. They hadn't known. Emily's note, "Your ventures have caused enough embarrassment," had cut deep, branding me a failure. I'd spent years proving them wrong, building StockSavvy into a $200 million company. Showing them the Innovation Center today, with its glass walls and my name on the sign, was my answer. But now, standing here, I wanted connection more than vindication. Emily found me near the dessert table, her eyes soft. "Jacob, I can't say sorry enough," she said. "I shut you out. I was scared you'd never make it." "I almost didn't," I admitted, leaning against a table. Year 3, I was broke, alone. But I kept going. Priya, Mike, the team, they believed in me when you didn't. She nodded, tears spilling. "I see it now. You're amazing." I hugged her, the years melting a little. "We're good, Em. Just don't write me off again." Mom joined us, her voice shaky. "We lost you, Jacob. We didn't know how to help." "You could have listened," I said, softer now. "I was still your kid, even when it looked bad." Dad approached, his boots heavy on the floor. "I was wrong," he said, clearer than before. "Thought you needed a safety net. Didn't see you were weaving your own." I swallowed, throat tight. "Took a decade, but I got there." He clapped my shoulder, a rare gesture. "Proud of you, son." The words landed heavy, like a debt paid. I thought back to the grind, coffee shop nights, Sarah's suitcase by the door, Priya's spreadsheets turning chaos into victory. The $50 million funding, the Pittsburgh move, the Innovation Center sign. It was my fight to be seen, but also to build something real for towns like Willow Creek. Now, my family was starting to understand. Lily ran up, waving a drawing of my building. "Look, Uncle Jacob," she said. Ben trailed her, asking if the center had robots. I laughed, promising to show them more tomorrow. Their excitement felt like a fresh start, a chance to be the uncle I hadn't been. Mark pulled me aside, his calm voice steady. "You've given them a lot to process," he said. "They're proud, even if it's hard to say." "Thanks," I said. "I just want us to be family again." "You are," he said, smiling. "Give it time." The reunion ended with hugs and promises to visit the Innovation Center. Mom wanted to bring her book club. Dad muttered about seeing a demo. Emily and I planned coffee in Pittsburgh, and Nate, away at college, texted, "Heard about your building. Badass, bro." I grinned, texting back a promise to catch up. As I drove to the Willow Creek Inn, the weight of the day settled. I'd spent a decade fighting to prove myself, to escape the failure label. The Innovation Center was my proof, but tonight, the hugs, the laughter, Dad's quiet pride, they were the real victory. I wasn't just the guy with his name on a building. I was their son, their brother, again. A year later, the Jacob Ellis Innovation Center stood tall in Willow Creek, its glass facade a beacon against the Pennsylvania hills. The grand opening, time to upstage the family reunion that had banned me, was a distant memory. That day, I'd shown Mom, Dad, Emily, Mark, and their kids, Lily and Ben, the truth behind StockSavvy, a $200 million company I'd built from a coffee shop laptop. The reunion that followed had been a turning point, not a showdown but a step toward healing. Now, the center hosted its first community tech workshop, and my family was here, part of something new. The workshop was for local kids, teaching them to code simple games. I stood in the lobby, the mural of Willow Creek's hills glowing behind me, watching teens type furiously at demo stations. Priya, my assistant, orchestrated the event with her usual precision, her tablet glowing as she checked schedules. Mike tweaked the software, ensuring no crashes. Lisa and Raj mentored the kids, while Ethan handed out swag, StockSavvy t-shirts and stickers. The band from last year's opening played softly in the corner, a nod to continuity. Mom bustled in, her floral dress swapped for a cardigan, carrying trays of her famous cookies. For the kids, she said, smiling. Dad, still in flannel, set up a snack table, muttering about fancy coffee machines. Emily had volunteered to organize the workshop, her braids swinging as she guided teens to their seats. Mark kept Lily and Ben busy with tablets, letting them test the coding app. Nate, home from college, hovered near me, his backpack slung over one shoulder. "This place is unreal, bro," he said. "Can I intern here?" I grinned. "Talk to Priya. She'll work you to death." The center felt alive, not just a headquarters but a hub for Willow Creek. The open plan office buzzed with employees, the conference rooms, Main Street, Willow Bridge, Creek Bend, booked for community events. Framed articles on the walls, TechCrunch, Forbes, reminded me of the grind, coffee shop nights, Sarah's goodbye, investor rejections, the $50 million Series B that built this place. I'd fought to prove I wasn't the failure my family once thought, but now it was about more, giving back to the town that raised me. The reunion this year was different. We held it here, in the Innovation Center's event space, with checkered tablecloths and Aunt Sue's potato salad to keep it familiar. No one whispered, "Poor Jacob," anymore. Cousins bragged about my Forbes feature, uncles asked for StockSavvy demos. Uncle Ray, still lugging his beer gut, clapped my back, saying, "You proved me wrong, kid." I laughed, offering to name a vending machine after him. Emily caught me during a break, her eyes clear. "Last year changed everything," she said. "We're a family again." "Thanks to you showing up," I said, hugging her. Her note, "Your ventures have caused enough embarrassment," was a faded scar now. She'd apologized, and we'd rebuilt. Mom and Dad joined us, Mom's smile wide. "I'm bringing my book club next week," she said. "They want to see your building." Dad nodded. "I tried your app. Not bad, son." I laughed, the sound easy. "High praise, Dad." Nate chimed in, pitching internship ideas. "I could help with the Europe expansion," he said, eyes bright. I saw my younger self in him, the kid with a dream no one got yet. I'd make sure we listened. Flashbacks came softly now. Childhood summers catching fireflies with Emily, Dad's baseball tosses, Mom's meatloaf dinners. Then the hard years, Mom's worried calls, Dad's real job lectures, Emily's silence. I'd built StockSavvy to escape their doubt, coding through the pain, turning rejections into fuel. Priya, Mike, Lisa, Raj, Ethan, they'd become my family when mine pulled away. Now, both families mingled here, laughing over cookies in my building. The workshop ended with kids showing off their games, simple pixelated characters bouncing on screens. Lily and Ben cheered loudest, proud of their uncle's place. A local reporter snapped photos, calling the center Willow Creek's future. I felt it too. This wasn't just about me anymore. StockSavvy helped businesses like the diner down the street, the florist around the corner. The center was training the next generation, kids who'd grow up knowing they could dream big. As the day wound down, I stood on the rooftop terrace, Willow Creek's hills stretching before me. Mom and Dad joined me, their silhouettes familiar against the sunset. "We're sorry we doubted you," Mom said, her voice steady now. "I got why," I said. "You wanted me safe. I just needed to do this my way." Dad nodded, his flannel catching the breeze. "You did it right." The weight of a decade lifted. I'd built StockSavvy, the Innovation Center, to prove I wasn't a failure. But standing here, with my family whole again, I realized I didn't need their approval anymore. I'd built something that mattered. For me, for Willow Creek, for them. The reunion last year had been a bridge. Today, we'd crossed it.